Hi, this is Nanette Hosenfeld with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Sunday, August 29th, 2021. Looking at fire potential impacts over the next few days, we will continue to see smoke impacting the area through Tuesday. You can see that area of smoke spreading into a larger area of the Great Basin from Monday into Tuesday. We are also looking at increasing winds across the western part of the Great Basin ahead of an approaching upper low system. And then on Tuesday, we will begin to see some isolated wet thunderstorms across a far southern portion of the Great Basin. Looking at that surface smoke forecast for the next 2 days, you can see from this afternoon into Monday afternoon, that smoke will spread into a larger portion of Nevada. That will impact air quality and visibility. Taking a look at the total smoke forecast, this is looking at a larger portion of the atmosphere. Again, you can see smoke spreading into a larger portion of the Great Basin between Monday and Tuesday, or Sunday and Monday, with a pretty significant increase across Idaho between Sunday and Monday. Over the past 24 hours, there's really not been any precipitation across the area and no lightning. Fire activity is pretty minimal across the area with just a few starts across the Great Basin. Taking a look at observed precipitation over the past 30 days, we've had above normal precipitation across portions of Idaho, northeastern Nevada, and northern Utah. The image on the right is showing the Eddy Drought Index. It's kind of a short-term drought indicator. Really the notable thing here is how conditions continue to remain dry across western Nevada and southwestern Idaho. And this is notable because these are the areas where we are expecting to see winds over the next few days. ERCs are generally on the rise across the Great Basin. We've seen an increase in ERCs across Utah, where conditions had been below the 50th percentile, but are increasing to the 50th to 70th percentile. However, with the monsoonal precipitation expected early or in the next few days, we'd expect to see those ERCs across Utah begin to drop. ERCs are highest across the western part of the Great Basin, with the highest ERCs in western Nevada. Continuing to look at those ERC trends, GB3, which is southwestern Idaho, is right around normal for the time of year. GB11 is at maximum ERC values. And so, again, really the highest fire danger in the Great Basin is across western Nevada, where conditions are the driest. Not too much on the satellite for the Great Basin this morning. Pretty clear skies across the area. On the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, you can see Hurricane Ida. Looking at the upper level pattern for today, we will have mostly dry air across the Great Basin. You can see almost all of the PSAs in Nevada are in the brown category. If we take a look at the winds and relative humidity today, we could see some isolated portions of the western part of the Great Basin. We'll see wind gusts in that 25 to 35 mile an hour range with single-digit relative humidities. Moving into Monday, we have a high risk for winds across western Nevada. We will see winds continue to pick up ahead of an approaching upper-level system. And with those dry conditions and gusty winds and critically dry fields across western Nevada, we do have a high risk for Monday. Taking a look at that in more detail, you can see a pretty large area of gusty winds expected across the northern half of the Great Basin. Wind speeds will generally be in the 25 to 35 mile an hour range. We are looking at critically dry relative humidities across much of Nevada and Idaho. As we move into Tuesday, we'll continue to see elevated winds across western Nevada as that upper low moves to the north of the Great Basin. Monsoonal moisture will also begin to increase across the southeastern part of the Great Basin, and we'll begin to see the beginning of a few days of wetting rain across the southern and southeastern portion of the area. If we look at the wind and relative humidity forecast for Tuesday, again looking at gusty winds across much of northern Nevada and into Idaho. The strongest wind speeds are expected to be across western Nevada, where we could see wind gusts in the 35 to 45 mile an hour range. Those gusty winds will be combined with critically dry relative humidities. Over the next 3 days, we are expected to see precipitation begin across the central and southern part of the Great Basin, and much of that will fall on Tuesday. As we move into Wednesday, we still keep very wet conditions across the central, southeastern part of the Great Basin. A pretty significant amount of moisture moving into the area, so we'll see widespread wetting rain across much of Utah and southern Nevada on Wednesday. And moving into Thursday, another approaching upper low will begin to shift that moisture off to the east. And then on Friday, looking at drier conditions across the Great Basin in general, could see another period of gusty winds and low relative humidities across the western part of the Great Basin on Friday, and looking at a pretty similar setup on Saturday. In the 7-day period, we are looking at another round of significant precipitation across the eastern half of the Great Basin. Some of the higher elevations of Utah and the Arizona Strip could see as much as 1.5 inches of precipitation. So really wet conditions over the next week across the southern and southeastern parts of the area. And looking further out, it does look like we transition into more of a hot and dry pattern across the entire area. The Climate Prediction Center is calling for below normal precipitation and above normal temperatures for the entire Great Basin. That's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our information is on the screen, and you can also find us on Twitter. Thanks.